Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Saturday night, let's just tell some stories. Let's talk about fake gangsters. There seems to be a lot of that going around these days. I guess it's the internet and corporations. There's so much merchandise out there. There's so much information out there. You guys can study up, can dress in a certain way, go get you some tattoos that you see, and nobody's going to call you out on it. It used to be, I see guys with spider webs and teardrops, and it means nothing anymore. All that shit used to have serious meanings, and you couldn't just show up with that shit. Are you kidding? And someone would take that off of you if you couldn't prove that you got it in the right way. Removing a tattoo is painful. I should say having it removed is probably not painful to remove it. It'd be fun to remove it. It'd be painful to have it removed. But people used to get called out on what we would call fronting. If you were fronting, you were pretending to be something that you weren't. And you really had to be careful. It's been an age-old thing. People have been running their mouths saying that they're down with this and they're down with that when they're not. Usually the people that start name dropping are frauds. I'll tell you a story about that. About a guy who was a fake gangster who got called out on it. I was living in Hollywood. I used to go check out this Chinese restaurant over on Highland, up on Highland in Franklin. Very often I'd go to the Powerhouse Lounge, a little dive bar, get drunk, walk up to the Chinese restaurant. And the Chinese restaurant was funny. It was just a dive, but they had decent food and good prices. You'd get a fucking 2 pounds of fucking food in one of them styrofoam things for like $3.50 or some shit. And if you had $5, you still had a couple bucks left over to get dessert, because it was half, the place was half of it was a Chinese restaurant, and the other half was a donut shop. And there was just seating all in the middle. So when you walked in, you'd get the smells from both. And it was weird. The combination of donuts and Chinese food is a weird combination. But it was kind of a regular routine for me. It must have been year 2000. I forget the exact year. I'm terrible with dates. Flip phones had come out. I had a flip phone and I was getting text messages, and back in those days you had to text like push the fucking button 3 times just to get the H, and then another 3 times to get the T, but you could figure it out. Those flip phones are indestructible. I had one fall off out of my pocket when I was on my motorcycle, right in the middle of the road. I stopped the bike in the middle of fucking traffic and go to get it, and just as I get up to it, this fucking bitch in a BMW runs over it. And I was like, oh man. Phone was fine. Phone was completely fine. But I was up at the Chinese place chowing down on some noodles and bourbon chicken. I always get the same shit. There's nobody in there. Dead. Music going. They were just closing down the Chinese side, so the lights were being dimmed down on that side, but the donut side was still rocking and rolling. I was going to get me a donut when I was done. In comes this young guy. He's got a few tattoos, shaved up, and a pretty young girl. And they both look Mexican. Talking in English, and he's running his mouth and he's saying, yeah baby, I run with 18th Street, 18. He keeps talking about 18th Street. And it seemed to be impressing her. That's why he was talking about it. And with every time he mentioned it, she's like, oh really? Oh really? So he's just letting it go even more. And he's like, oh yeah, and then the other night, me and my homies, we were doing this and that out on a mission, and he's talking about all this gangster stuff, trying to impress her. And she's just like, wow. And I can tell that he really thought he was getting somewhere. And she's cute, and you know, it's a Friday or a Saturday night, whatever it is, and this is his plan. He's spitting all the right game. He's got this chick fooled. So as he's running his mouth, she's sitting there on her little phone texting away, and it takes an hour to send a fucking message because you got to sit there and push each button every time. You young people that have only had these smartphones don't remember the pains of texting was not as easy as it is now. So she's sitting there playing with her stupid phone as the guy's talking. I had a chick do that to me one time on a fucking date. I got up and walked off. We were outside at a coffee shop. I got half a block down. She looks up from her phone and she's like, "Where'd you go?" Put the phone away. But he doesn't care. He's just sitting there, "Oh yeah, 18, and all this and that. I kill people, and I'm a shot caller. I've been to prison." And he's just going for it. I finish up my food. I go over to the donut side to get a bear claw. I miss those fucking bear claws. They don't have those down here in Florida, and people don't even know what the fuck they are. Oh, I loved them. Big giant thing full of apples. I'm sitting there macking on my bear claw. It's delicious. And in comes 6 guys. Pretty beefy, shaved up. Some of these guys had tattoos on their face. One guy had a big number 1 and a number 8 tattooed on his face. Another guy had a number 1 and a number 8 tattooed on his head. 18th Street shows up. 18th Street, I don't know what the turf lines are, but 18th Street was always really strong in Hollywood. For generations, they've always had strong turf in Hollywood. And here they are, and this guy's eyes go wide. He's been running his mouth this whole time to this chick about how he's a shot caller in 18th Street. He basically started the gang. And here they are, and they run up on him. They ignore me. I'm just sitting there, minding my own business, like a fly on the wall. I don't even exist. Nobody has even looked at me or acknowledged me. I'm just in there. And these guys run right up on him. "You say you're in 18th Street?" Nose to nose with this guy. And he's surrounded by big bald head tattooed up fucking men who are angry. And they're all older than him and serious as a heart attack. And this kid was just playing around apparently. And he's like, "Oh no," he starts backpedaling. The chick has got a smile on her face like the Joker from ear to ear. Because I figured it out. That's what she was doing. She texted these guys. And he's like, oh, he's backpedaling. "Oh, no. I never said I was part of 18th Street. I know somebody who knows somebody who's in 18th Street. You know, my friend's cousin's dog was it. You know, he's trying to separate himself as much as he can from this whole story that he's been given." But the guys weren't taking it. They didn't really care. It didn't seem like they were really going to wait for a response or have some healthy debate about it. They grab him and drag him out. This motherfucker, as he's being dragged out, grabs my table, the corner of my table. I grab the table back. They yank him out. One of the guys looks at me. He doesn't say anything, but he had this kind of look like, "Sorry, sir," which was so funny because I just kind of gave them all a nod. Went right back to eating my fucking bear claw. Fucking just, I love that. To me, that's like heroin. Those bear claws are the best thing that's ever been invented. And they drag him out, and he's like, no. And the chick is just laughing. She's marching along behind him. They drag him out, but what I assume was behind the restaurant. And that was the end of that guy. And that's my only 18th Street story. I never ran with those guys. I never hung out with them. Thanks for watching.